Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Should You Play, where I show you some spoiler-free gameplay and give you my thoughts after playing new games for a few hours, while also highlighting and checking out at least one of the PlayStation Plus games for each month. In this video I'm playing Elden Ring Nightreign, the latest game from FromSoftware and their first game to be built specifically around co-op gameplay. I've been a FromSoftware fan ever since I played Bloodborne back in 2015, and when Nightreign was first announced, I had the same reaction that a lot of other players had. Excitement followed by confusion, followed by a bit of worry. I was lucky enough to take part in the network test a few weeks before the official release, and even having some extra time with the game and enjoying it, I still have concerns about some key aspects of play, so let's just jump into it.
Simply marvelous.
Nightreign may have the Elden Ring name in its title, but you don't need to have played it to jump into this, as Nightreign is a standalone title, and rather than being a sprawling open-world adventure filled with lore, interesting characters, and lots of item descriptions scattered around, Nightreign offers a really straightforward plot. Defeat the Night Lords to dispel the curse of the night.
Unless we bring its end, our world will be undone.
Bits of lore can be discovered between runs at the Round Table Hold through conversations and memory fragments, but the story is more of a backdrop to the gameplay rather than the driving force, because the game is much more about the action and the co-op expeditions. On the topic of the gameplay, Nightreign is like Elden Ring turned up to 11. It still retains the core elements of gameplay, such as the combat and exploration, but it's segmented into expeditions that last 3 in-game days, each day lasting about 15 to 20 minutes, and letting you explore the map, collect gear, level up your character, and face bosses, all leading up to a final showdown against a Night Lord. The world features a shrinking circle mechanic as well, similar to that of some Battle Royale titles, and because of the ticking clock, the game introduces some new mechanics that let you move around more quickly, such as spectral hawks, wall climbing, no fall damage, and a full-on sprint. The downside to this, though, is that the patient, methodical exploration that a lot of FromSoftware fans are used to has been replaced by a more intense and fast-paced adventure that can honestly sometimes feel more like a speedrun attempt, but it still offers its own kind of fun.
I can wait, but I only have so much patience.
Inventory management has also been simplified, as you're actually able to see what items are before you pick them up, and you're limited to how much you can carry at any given time, so you'll never be wasting time picking and choosing weapons from a long list, and you'll also never have to worry about weight limits either. Each run can be a bit different thanks to the randomized layouts, enemies, and rewards, but the maps are generally going to be the same, with a mini-boss always being in a specific room, a chest always being in that one camp, and enemies always being on certain pathways. It's one of the only real issues I have with the gameplay itself, as if you don't beat the Night Lord on your first try, you'll likely start to unintentionally memorize all of the important areas pretty quickly, so I hope that as time passes, we'll get some more map variety, but as of right now, there's no official confirmation as to whether that'll happen or not. Combat in Nightreign stays true to FromSoftware's style, but it's tailored to Nightfarer classes rather than individualized builds. We've got balance fighters like the Wilder, but then there are tanks like the Guardian and Raider, mages like the Revenant and Recluse, the Iron Eye who fights with a bow, the Executor who wields a katana, and the Duchess who uses daggers and stealth. Each class also has a set of unique abilities, such as the Wilder having a grappling hook and arm cannon, and the Revenant being able to summon spirits and grant temporary immortality to your allies. When you start the game, you'll only have access to 6 of the 8 classes, but without giving too much away, the other 2 can be unlocked pretty early on without too much difficulty. Unlike an Elden Ring, Dark Souls, or even Bloodborne, you don't level up stats individually here, and instead level up your entire character and their unique strengths, meaning that if you choose to play as the Iron Eye and be an archer, you won't be able to specifically level up intelligence to become a reliable mage. Boss fights are of course the real highlight in Nightreign though, and while there are some new ones here, you'll see a lot of familiar faces as well, including the Nameless King from Dark Souls 3, the Smelter Demon from Dark Souls 2, and the Tree Sentinel from Elden Ring. Each expedition will see you face at least 3 bosses in total, with the final day presenting one of the 8 new Night Lords, and win or lose, you'll get some rewards that you can use between runs as permanent upgrades, such as relics that will boost your attack power or grant resistance from blood loss, and they're important to look at as they're the only aspects that carry over to future expeditions. Nightreign can be played solo or in 3-player co-op, and fortunately and unfortunately, the co-op experience is where this game gets tricky to talk about. As of now, the game doesn't support dedicated 2-player co-op, and it also doesn't have crossplay between systems, so unless you have 2 friends who have the game on the same system that you have, your pool of potential teammates will likely be limited to random matchmaking.
You will hear it often.
The big drawback when it comes to Nightrein's co-op gameplay though, and the game's biggest weakness overall, is that there's really no way to communicate with your co-op partners. You can place a marker on the map that your partners can see, but there's no in-game voice chat or reliable ping system to use, so unless you're using an external resource like Discord, you'll just have to hope and pray that your teammates know what's going on, because if you're not operating as a team, it can start to feel like you're babysitting or playing alone.
So be it.
Personally, I really hope that this is addressed later on, and I think that the perfect middle ground would be the inclusion of a communication wheel where you can just throw out simple cues like item here, or group up, or I need healing.
That's your best bet.
One of the other downsides is that if one of your co-op partners does drop out mid-match, the game doesn't dynamically scale the difficulty down to accommodate the loss. There is a penalty system in place for leaving sessions early, so I didn't see it happen too often, but when it does happen, it can make the entire run feel like an immediate loss.
And that is no small matter.
You can of course play the game solo though, and there's a bit of difficulty scaling to make it a bit more manageable if you choose to do so, but Nightreign and even the Night Lords themselves were designed to be a co-op experience. That said, the developers have already committed to making solo expeditions easier in the near future by adding things such as automatic revivals and increasing the number of runes earned, so while I still wouldn't recommend playing alone unless you're confident with your abilities, solo play is likely going to become much more viable over the next few weeks. Visually, the game looks great. It holds up about as well as the original Elden Ring did on its launch day, with detailed enemies and bosses, lots of variety in the environments, and a bit of life in every corner of the map.
You have a discerning eye, do you not?
The music ranges from moody ambient tracks during exploration to epic and cinematic ones for boss fights, and they're really well-composed themes, even if they do add a bit of extra stress to the battles themselves. If I were to be a bit more critical about the game's presentation, I would have liked to have seen more new assets, as a lot of what you'll see on your expeditions will look familiar if you've played FromSoftware's past games, but it's a minor gripe and not something that I'm gonna lose sleep over.
Don't overthink it.
As for the game's performance, I've seen numerous reports of bigger issues such as intense stuttering and connection problems, but honestly, I didn't really experience any problems on PS5, and load times were generally fast as well. There was one instance where I noticed frames dropping for maybe a second or two, and one time where a boss took a while to spawn, but beyond that, gameplay was stable. I did run into some typical FromSoftware visual quirks here and there, like my character model bobbing up and down on uneven terrain, but nothing even close to the more serious issues that others have reported. Overall, Elden Ring Nightreign is a refreshing change of pace, but I don't think it'll be for everyone. It takes the core Elden Ring mechanics and amplifies them for a more adrenaline-filled and fast-paced adventure, focusing more on cooperative roguelike runs and pre-built classes rather than careful exploration and leveling, and some veteran players may not be the biggest fans of that.
I believe myself skilled in my craft.
Personally though, I am a fan, and I think that Nightreign has a lot of potential to go from good to great with some tweaks here and there, especially when it comes to map variety, support for two-player runs, and of course, better in-game communication tools. If you're a fan of FromSoftware's work and are open to a faster-paced, more experimental spin on their formula, Nightreign is well worth your time and money, especially if you've got a solid team to play with. But if you're looking for the lonely and epic journey that define the lands between, you may just want to temper your expectations.
I am always ready to fight.
As always though, this is just my opinion. Whether you're just starting your first expedition, or you've already defeated all of the Night Lords, let me know in the comments what you think of Elden Ring Nightreign.
We'll sway this Night Lord yet.
Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.